Thank you for tuning in to She's Always Right and He's Never Wrong, a witty take on today's issues between what often sounds like an old married couple, but we're actually two psychologists who will hash it out day in and day out, looking at today's relationships, politics, and everything in between. Thank you again for tuning in to She's Always Right and He's Never Wrong. The doctors are in. Let's begin.
All right, Sabrina. Actually, let me say before we get started, let me just give a shout out to my co-partner in crime here, Dr. Sabrina, because I'm always loving that intro. You sounding smooth.
Well, let's be clear. I sound fantastic. Thank you.
All right, Sabrina. Diddy. Talking about Diddy today. We got to go there.
Uh,
Got to go there.
I'm afraid, but go
Yeah, yeah.
ahead.
You should be. You should be. All right, let me set the stage. Let me set the table for us.
All right.
I want to give a shout out to my home state, Maryland. Representing today.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. Bring me some crabs, please.
you know how we like to do. Sabrina is
Yes,
also your home state, so I'm representing for both of
that's
us.
correct.
All
Thank you.
right.
Yes.
All right. So today we are talking about Sean P. Diddy Puffy, the thousand names he has, Combs.
Love. Don't forget that. Love Combs. Yes.
Yes. All right. If y'all haven't seen it, y'all obviously under a rock, missing somewhere, or you just been on vacation. All right. So we know that a couple days ago the video came out with Sean Diddy Combs. Unfortunate. This is a serious issue. I know that me and Sabrina we just joke, but it's a serious issue. In the video, we saw that Puffy is. It was in apparently this video was in 2016 in a LA hotel, but from the video. I guess there's always questions of whether it did or didn't, but clearly you can see
Allegedly.
allegedly somebody who looks like Puffy, and then somebody allegedly who looks like Cassie Ventura, who was the woman he was dating at the time. And so the
Hmm.
video it shows that she's running out of her room down a hallway towards the elevator, and then you see somebody allegedly Puffy chasing her with
Yes.
a towel and socks. I mean, I'm not even gonna get on a towel and socks, but towel and
Right.
socks running down the hallway, seeing her at the elevator. And then this is where the horrificness comes in terms of the violence, right? We see him
Yes.
lower down to the ground and then kicking her several times, two times, and then basically starting to drag her down the hallway. And then in the video, they show where they're down the other end of the hallway. It looks like he throws with maybe a vase or glass, something at her. And then I guess depends on how much of the video you show. Then they also show another point where she's back at the elevator again. And so this apparently was in 2016. And then we know that Cassie Ventura in 2023 actually filed a lawsuit alleging exactly what we saw in the video. And at the time, Diddy came out with a statement saying that she and other women were just looking for a payday, and that he said these things didn't happen.
Oh,
And
and Cassie did get a payday, but keep
she
going.
she did the lawsuit was I still think settled within a day or two, and
One
then
day,
one day.
$30
And
million.
so
dollars.
how much was it?
$30 million one day.
Wow, 30 mil. I mean, I'm not gonna say money equates guilt, but that's a lot of money. That's a lot of settlement right there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and it looks like they were dating from about 2007 to 2018, and this supposed allegedly happened in 2016. It also came out that Puffy paid $50,000 for that video from the security of the hotel.
Mm.
So that's where we are. So Sabrina, let's talk about what are your reactions? What when you saw it that first time you
Uh,
saw it? What tell us about your reactions? What was going on for you?
I wanted to believe that he ain't do it. Okay, no, I didn't. But I'm just saying that I'm sorry, allegedly. So
Allegedly.
what I will say is that first of all, I was horrified
Right,
to
right.
obviously, anytime you hear about women in violent situations, or not just women, but anyone in a relationship with someone that takes on an element of violence. It's frightening. You know, you can hear the stories, you can sometimes see the bruises, but to physically see it with your eyes, I mean, the just so incredibly unsettling. It just reminds me of there's something about taking something in visually, and we couldn't hear the sound, but you could just imagine the sounds that she was making as this was happening.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, you know, so many things went through my mind in that moment, and just how afraid she had to be. Because at that point, at least from what I observed, I wasn't sure if he wasn't going to kill her, like in that initial sight. I mean, and obviously the video cuts off after a certain point, but it just, I was just terrified to see it. And, I can't even begin to say my feelings about, Puffy. I think the one thing that is most difficult about this day and age is that, we all saw the Tina Turner movie back in the day, What's Love Got to Do with It, heard the stories, but, to see the video and then the first thing you remember is, well, what did he have to say about this when it came out? And then you basically hear that everything he said was a lie or a cover up or some attempt to, quote unquote, save his name from the reality that, he totally and completely brutalized this woman in that moment. And just so incredibly frustrating to hear. But I'm going to give you back the mic, not because I want to, but because I guess I should. But what I'll say is, that I'll stop there and then I'll give you some other side thoughts that I have about kind of how women sometimes end up in these situations.
I mean, it was, I'm you and I are in agreement in agreement in terms of the how horrible it was and how vile to see this. It actually made me think about the Ray Rice, right? Like
Yes.
Rice when he was in the NFL. It seemed like that investigation by the NFL and what people were talking about really went quickly. And then when the video came out, then it was this reverse course because to your point that you were saying, it's one thing to talk about something and say it happened. It's another thing to see it, right?
Yeah.
I think we could see that. We see it with George Floyd's death. We see it with Rodney King.
Yes.
We see it, with these horrific things happening. But then when you actually see it, I think that changes or impacts the public opinion or this
Mm-hmm.
understanding of what happened. And so it was hard to watch. It was really hard to watch. And I mean, it's like it is. I say it's crazy in that. I mean, we're psychologists, so but I just say like, I mean, the psyche of this person, he's in a towel and socks running after. So in that moment, and I'm not gonna excuse intoxication, drug
Mm-hmm.
substance use. I'm not gonna let that be the excuse for this. You were sane enough to put on some socks before you walked out the door. You were
Mm-hmm.
lucid enough to hold your towel up so it wasn't falling. So clearly you were not intoxicated, high, or not being able to think clearly enough, because otherwise, you wouldn't be caring about that. Now, granted, he didn't care that he walked out in a towel, but he made sure he didn't fall down, right? And so,
Right. He tied it tight enough.
yeah, yeah, then he had some. He was
Mm-hmm.
lucid, right? He understood what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me can't be the excuse. So it was really hard to see. It was hard to see.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing that always comes to mind that I think is also pretty common in the court of public opinion is, how do these things happen? Right. So obviously, you just referenced the whole point about him being intoxicated or him saying he was intoxicated, um, or whatever. But I also think that, it's very easy to think, when we think about Cassie, like, how did this happen? Was this the first time? Is this, you've been in a relationship with this person for years. This wasn't a new relationship when this happened. I can't help but to think that it wasn't the first time.
Right.
In fact, it was probably, you know, happens, because most people don't abuse you like that on the first attempt.
That's
It's
correct.
usually starts with a push or a slap or
That's
a
right. That's
shove or something like that.
right. A display of power. I throw something at the wall, and that
Yep,
lets you know my strength. You're so right, Sabrina. I mean, the research literature says that that's how it happens. It is a
yeah,
gradual thing because to accept something, it starts gradually, and then
yeah.
somebody can apologize or the narrative in terms of why that happened. I lost my cool. I became too blah blah blah. So that's why I shoved you, and then that escalation happens. You're so right, Sabrina.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm glad. Could you say that again for the camera and the people in the back? I'm so right. Yes. So what
Oh,
I'll
I'm sorry.
say,
No, I don't know. I really what I said was the
right.
escalation happens. I don't know. I
Exactly.
don't know. I think somebody called my name. I
Uh,
don't know.
right, that's what I figured. But what I'll say is that, the other thing is, I think the other side of what I've been hearing as, you read the blogs and, different videos and, random people giving their perspective, is that you know you get involved with these celebrities, you get involved with these high power individuals that have a lot of money. In some ways you're kind of signing up for basically almost any kind of treatment, because I think in some ways people view women like Cassie as selling their souls or selling their bodies in exchange for fame or these expensive gifts or access to certain kinds of people to help develop your career or something like that. And, there's a lot of people that I think sit back in judgment of a Cassie. Like, not to say that she deserves it, but there's some people that are like, well, hey, you deal with somebody like that and you've taken all his money and, you've gone on these lavish trips and vacations and accepted all of this kind of stuff. And, this is part of the territory or the game that goes along with it. And you know, I always think about what my mother used to say to me all the time is that, as long as you have a price, you'll find somebody that's willing to pay it. And when you trade yourself for money, that, sometimes you're opening a door to a place that you can't get out. The door locks behind you. And kind of what's on the other side of that door is what you're basically signing up for when you do that money exchange. I'm not saying that that's the case here. I really don't even believe that, but I just wanted to raise that thought because I do think there are a lot of people that believe, hey, this is what happens,
Right.
just because of the money thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know, Bilal. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think some people are raising that. I mean, I think it's crazy and nuts, but you're right. People are saying,
Hmm.
if you, as you said, if you read the blogs, you read different comments, hey, this is part of this is par for the course, or whatever
Hmm.
that's, that this is part of what, as you said, what you sign up for. I think that I think those individuals are passing judgment because they're not in that position. Like nobody wants to get beat like that, and
Hmm.
but I do think that people are passing judgment. Well, but I'm gonna shift this a little bit here, Sabrina. I want to ask you a couple questions then. So we talk about this video, and so I'm wondering, before we had the video, there was a perception. Now this video is out. So how does this video impact people's perceptions of Diddy? Because before there's a lot of stuff that's been happening in the news, right? This, he had
Yeah.
raids of his houses in Miami and in LA and I think New York
Hmm.
or whatever, whatever. But we didn't have this. So now we have this video. So how would you how would you or what do you think it does to his reputation now that this video is out? And we know
Well,
he
I
paid
think
$50,000 in an attempt to keep people from seeing it.
well, I think honestly what comes to mind is for the few people that were left believing that he was still innocent, even from what had been released prior to this video, I think he lost probably all but maybe his mama in believing that he did not do it or do everything that the allegations have been made about him. Now granted, in our judicial system, which often doesn't work very well, but he will have an opportunity to prove his innocence in court, or guilt until proven innocent, as our system says it's supposed to do.
You said
But
guilt until proven innocent.
that's really how our system works. Okay. But,
Unfortunately.
or it's not supposed to work like that.
Yeah,
But what
yeah.
I'll say is that, prior to that, I think, especially with celebrities, there's always this seed of doubt. I think that's there that, oh, well, this person has a lot of money. So there always have people that are trying to get something out of them. And let's be clear, we know a lot of cases of people that have told a lie and in an attempt to get, money from someone, or to get money from the system, or sympathy, or things like that. And in this case, I think you probably had some people left. There was other folks that had buried him from the first allegation because of whatever happened before.
Right,
But I
right.
definitely think this video just put the nail in the coffin. And I mean, he may have been done before, but he done now, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah. So, and this kind of gets to this next piece, right? So we talked about the
hmm
reputation. What do you think now about the credibility of him when he said these other, because there's other allegations, right? There's this, and there's
hmm
others who said that he was abusive and physically assaultive, but we know that there are these other things too. So now this really talks about the physical violence. But I'm
hmm
wondering, what do you think in terms of credibility, in terms of what are you saying about these other things? Is that your when you start to use your scale of belief and disbelief, how does that impact you knowing that he had lied about this?
I just want to put on the record that all of this is allegedly.
Oh,
Wow,
sorry,
you
I'm
put
sorry.
me on the witness stand.
Allegedly. My bad. Allegedly.
What I'll say is, though,
Shout
that
out to my grandma who couldn't bend her fingers all the way back in the day.
right,
Shout out.
exactly, allegedly. So, I think the challenge is that now, even though I think people in his situation are ripe with opportunity for people to jump on the bandwagon, I think now more so than ever before is when, if I wanted to create an opportunity to say he did something, the time is now.
Hmm.
Because I feel like, even if it wasn't true, or I had an engagement with him that maybe didn't go to that extent, I do think that for some people that are looking for a come up, this is an appropriate time. But I'll tell you, in my personal opinion, his credibility was shot long ago. We could take it back to the Wendy Williams days in the 90s when I lived in New York. And all of those kind of things were coming out, bits and pieces here and there. And then if you follow some of the conspiracy theorists on YouTube,
Oh my God.
um,
Well, that's a whole different, that's another level. That's a whole nother level.
exactly. Of people that, have kind of bridged together some stories regarding the possibilities of what he has been willing to do, or has participated in, or has been a part of communities of, people that exchange sex for drugs and money and
Right.
violence and all the things that come with that. Um, but I would say, as for me, I mean, I always wonder, and I think my first thought is never to necessarily 100% believe something like this when it comes out. I'm a person that's more of a wait and see. And let me just hear a little bit more of the facts first. I know folks, said OJ did it from day one,
Hey, first of
and
all,
I
okay,
wasn't
I
so
don't want to go
sure.
there. I don't want to go there, but we don't know. We don't know. We don't
Well,
know.
first of all,
We
let's
don't
be
know.
clear.
Hey,
When
hey,
you're
hey, hey, hey. We don't know. We don't know if Juice did it. We don't know. I know you about to
exactly.
go. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know if Juice did
But
it.
I'm just saying, my point is that, there's some people that they only have to hear one iota of something, and it's like, yep, guilty, slam, down the
Yeah,
gavel.
yeah.
I think we've seen too many cases where people have been found innocent, years later, because evidence was tampered with. All of that. I think there's a lot of other variables, which is why I've taken more of a wait and see approach. But what I will say is that, one or two allegations is one thing, five, six, seven, eight, 15, 80, however many are left on the table
Yeah.
makes it a little harder to believe. So I would say that for me,
Allegedly.
I
Allegedly.
definitely
Allegedly.
allegedly, right.
Allegedly.
I definitely would allegedly think that yeah, it don't look good for you, love, Combs.
All right,
You
all
know,
right.
I hope you got a
I'm
lot of love in your heart because I'm concerned about you, brother, because this don't look good for you. I mean, I don't necessarily believe allegedly that you are innocent,
allegedly,
but
allegedly, allegedly. All right, Sabrina. I'm gonna move us. I'm gonna move us here, switch it
okay,
up a little bit. So
okay.
he comes out, and so then Puffy releases his apology tape, just like a remix from a new song. He comes out quick and he drops an apology. And so if y'all haven't seen
Yeah,
this, I feel like he's at some I don't know if he's in the US. It seemed like he is in some tropical location
yeah.
in the
Bali,
South.
I
That doesn't look
think
like he's in the
allegedly is
US.
the location,
Allegedly,
but
the
yes,
location I think is tropical, although I don't know if he picked a non-extradition, allegedly. But anyway,
yes, exactly.
so in this apology video, it's him and he's talking about that he was at rock bottom, and so he's
Yes,
apologizing for this behavior. And in essence, he's to me admitting that that was him in the video and he engaged in this, but he said he was rock bottom and he talked about trying to be a better person with every new day and was looking for God for forgiveness. So so he did it. We know he did this. I'm sorry. We know he did this video. Everything else
right.
allegedly, but we know he did this apology video. So Sabrina, my question to you is: so should he have recorded this video?
Yes. In 2016, though. 'Cause in 2024, I mean, I just think it's a little bit too little too late. I'm all about apologies and forgiveness. I'm not sure how you can do that when you have drugged somebody through the hallway like that, but
Right.
I think to not say anything is problematic. However, I do think that the apology is late. I think that it probably should not have been public. Maybe, I imagine Cassie got her number blocked or changed or something, allegedly, for
Yeah,
him to get
she
through
should
to
have gotten
her.
one. Yeah, she three numbers
But
away from that number from 2018. She got to be at least
yeah, basically.
three phone numbers
But
away.
he could have sent a letter by snail mail. I mean, I don't know, but I'm just saying that,
Carrier
you know,
pigeon,
I
something.
I do think an apology is warranted for any behavior that you have done that you later where you've shown harm to someone else or you regret or whatever. However, too little, too late.
Okay, okay. So Sabrina, I'm gonna disagree with you on in creating that apology video. I think that was the I think that was the wrong move. I think that's the wrong move. And here's where I'm going though. I'm not saying it's the wrong move because he shouldn't apologize. I'm saying it's the wrong move because now you basically have admitted to this thing that we're saying is allegedly happened. I'm thinking, could this be used in court? Why would you apologize?
Right. Oh
You
no,
gave the
it's being used
prosecution,
already.
you gave the prosecution their case. You apologizing for it. Like I don't that seems dumb to me.
Well, if the feds are sitting on your neck, though, you might have had to do it. I don't know. I mean, I ain't never had the feds after me, thank you, Lord. But what I'll say is,
You ain't never had the feds after you, Sabrina. I thought you had the feds after you, Sabrina. What you talking about?
not this week anyway. So what I'll say is that I am feeling a little yeah. It just I mean there's just so many things wrong with this
Record that.
case,
Yeah, he
Bilal.
recorded that. He needed. Well, the other part is, and it's to your point, if you didn't record this in 16 and you don't need to record anything, right? You need to
No.
this horrific. I mean, I can't stress enough how horrific this action. I'm not gonna say the video is horrific. The video is just recording what happened. It's the action that's
Yeah.
horrific. And if you don't apologize, if you don't think it's you're calling people just out for a payday and you saying these allegations are false, and then you're recording this video, then we go back to the credibility and his reputation. Like, that's some to me it's one, it's BS. Two, I'm like you have a criminal child, this is gonna come up. This is the first thing that they would play. Like, really, I can tell you what in your own words what you said, and then
Yeah.
I play it for them. So
Not real sure how this is going to be helpful.
no, it's not gonna be helpful. It's not gonna be helpful at all.
So
That
therefore, which makes me wonder and question whether or not there's still some substance use going on because, what I will say about the substances is they give you courage to do all kinds of things that maybe you wouldn't have done.
Yeah, maybe that's one of those things you shouldn't have done. I don't. I
Right.
also think if he had some undisclosed, alleged undisclosed, non extradition beach locale,
Mm-hmm.
maybe he was thinking, "I'm good. I can go ahead and just say this." But to me, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
mean,
Sabrina,
basically.
I'm gonna move us. I want to move us towards wrapping up.
Okay.
What do you think in this Diddy saga should happen next? Give us your 30 seconds. What should happen next?
My first thing was I hope that wherever he is on his knees begging for forgiveness from his creator, whoever he wants to call him or
Right,
her.
right.
Because right now I'm feeling like only God can save you now, like the Tupac song
Shout out to
says.
Tupac.
Right. Um, I just think I mean, I don't even know if he has enough money in the bank to provide the adequate representation for something like this. I'm almost feeling like he maybe need to spend some time saying his goodbyes to his family now because I can't see him getting out of this.
Allegedly.
Right, getting out of this allegedly. I think at this point, sometimes the one thing that I will say as a believer in my own right is that there is always hope for forgiveness from your creator or from God, as I call him. And, that to me is, probably number one is make that divine connection. If you don't have it, get one. And then two is, those apologies, maybe you should have said them for your kids and for the other people that's being impacted by by allegedly your terrible decisions. Um, and, from there, maybe a monk, becoming a monk. So, but, getting out of mainstream society, I'm not real sure what to say other than, at a minimum, he needs to get some serious counseling, of some sort. I think he needs to process and think through reality for himself because I'm still not sure that he's clear about what he's done or what has happened. And, sometimes when you get high on power and money and access, you start to lose touch with reality for some people. So I think he definitely needs to sit somewhere with somebody with a higher state of mind or thinking than himself to help him process all that has happened and maybe take his next steps from there. But, you know, that's all I can say about it. How about you, Bilal?
Yeah, I think,
I'll
those
give you
things
the
you're
last
right. Being
words.
able to, if you have if you have a belief in higher power or someone you can talk to, I think you engage in that. I think you look for ways to, I look for you do for ways, you do look for ways of bettering yourself. I also believe in restorative justice, and restorative justice still holds people
Yes.
accountable. So my belief is that I give it a year. I think he's going to be if he is not in court, I think he's going to be finishing up a trial where he's going to be found guilty and he's going to be incarcerated. So I give it a year
Mm-hmm.
that his life is going to forever change.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I want to move to end, and I want to say we're talking about this. I know we're joking. This is a very serious issue in terms of
Mm-hmm.
intimate partner violence, and so if anyone is experiencing intimate partner violence, violence against them due to being in a relationship, or if you're just experiencing familial violence, there is the
Yes.
National Domestic Violence Hotline, and it is always available to call. And that number is 1-800-799-7233. And so again, if you feel like you are in need of help, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It is there for you. Um,
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
that's right. That's right. All right, Sabrina, will
Mm-hmm.
take us home.
All right. Thank you so much. You've been listening to She's Always Right and He's Never Wrong. Thank you again. Follow us on all of the major platforms. That includes YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and all the like. Thank you so much. Until next time.